Our lesson for today is about the fourth type of factoring polynomials, and this is factoring sum and difference of two cubes. For the sum of two cubes, it should be x cubed plus y cubed, and for the difference, we have x cubed minus y cubed. Now later we will discuss the factors of the sum and difference of these two cubes. Let us first review the numbers that are perfect cubes. If we have the numbers that are perfect squares, we also have the numbers that are perfect cubes. Now, what are these numbers? Let us start with 1. If you will multiply 1 by itself 3 times, we have 1 times 1 times 1. The product is also 1, and therefore 1 is a perfect cube. Getting the cube root of 1, the index should be 3. The radicand should be 1. The radicand is the perfect cube, the number that is perfect cube. So the cube root of 1 is 1. Now, another number that is perfect cube is 8. The cube root of 8 is 2. Why? Because if you will multiply 2 by itself 3 times, that is 2 times 2 times 2, you will get 8. Therefore, 8 is a perfect cube. Now, how about 27? 27 is also a perfect cube. Now, what do you think is the cube root of 27? So, this time you have to think of a number that when you multiply that number by itself 3 times, you will get 27. And what is that number? It should be positive 3. So, the cube root of 27 is 3. Why? Because 3 times 3 times 3, the product is 27. You will get the radicand. And therefore, 27 is a perfect cube. Now, another perfect cube is 64. And the cube root is 4. Why? Because 4 times 4 times 4, you will get 64. How about if the number or if the cube root is 5? The number that is perfect cube should be 125. Because 5 times 5 times 5, you will get 125. So therefore, the cube root of 125 is 5. Okay. For 216, what is the cube root? The cube root is 6. Why 6? Because 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. For 343, the cube root is 7, positive 7. And for 512, it should be 8. And for 729, it should be 9. So, to get the cube root, you just think of a number that when you multiply that number by itself 3 times, you will get the number that is in the radicand. So, these numbers written inside the radical sign or the radicands are the numbers that are perfect cube. Okay. Let us now go to our lesson. Our lesson is factoring sum and difference of two cubes. We have the sum of the two cubes and the difference of the two cubes. For the sum of the two cubes, we have two factors. The first factor should be a binomial. The second factor should be a trinomial. Binomial meaning with 2 terms. Trinomial means with 3 terms. Now, the same is true with the difference of two cubes. There are also 2 factors. The first factor is the binomial factor. The second factor is the trinomial factor. Now, how are we going to solve for these factors? There are 3 steps. The first step is to get the cube root of the first term. Our first term is x cubed. The next, get the cube root of the second term. Second term is y cubed. Then for the third step, using the first factor or the binomial factor, square the first term, get the product of the two terms, and then square the second term. Okay, let us try these steps in the sum of the two cubes. What is the cube root of x cubed? What is the cube root of x cubed? For the variables, we just simply divide the exponent by 3. So variables with exponent that is divisible by 3 are all perfect cubes. So x cubed is a perfect cube, and the cube root of x cubed is x. So divide their exponent, the exponent, by the index, and that is x raised to 3 over 3. We will get x raised to the first power, or x. So this is the cube root of x cubed. The cube root of y cubed is simply y. Dividing their exponent by the index, you will get y, and that is y. And then for the sign, since we have the sum, the binomial factor should also be the sum. The same sign between the two terms. Now, how about the trinomial factor? How are we going to solve this? Using this binomial factor, you will square the first term. Our first term this time is x. What is the square of x? Getting the square of x means x times x. And what is x times x? X squared. So this will be the first term in the trinomial. And then next, using the first factor, square the first terms, and that is x squared. Then next, get the product of the two terms. Our two terms are x and y. What is x times y? It is xy. And then next we have, get the square of the second term. Getting the square of y means y times y, and that is y squared. Now, for the trinomial, the terms should be in alternate signs or in alternating signs. Why? Because of the sum. So, if the given binomial is the sum of the two terms, then the signs of the terms should be in alternating signs. How about the difference of the two cubes? The same process, you get the cube root of x cubed, and that is x. Get the cube root of y cubed, that is y. It should be the difference, the same in the given. And then next, get the square of the first term. The square of x is x times x, and that is x squared. Then get the product of the two terms, or multiply the two terms, that is xy. X times y is xy. And get the square of the last term, that is y times y, y squared. This time, for the difference, the signs of the terms in the trinomial should all be positive. Let us try other examples. Okay, given we have x cubed plus 8. Our first term is x cubed, second term is 8. Let us get this cube root of x cubed. What is the cube root of x cubed? So, again, just divide the exponent by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, therefore the cube root is x. How about the cube root of the second term? What is the cube root of 8? 8 is a perfect cube. What is the cube root? The cube root is 2. our binomial factor should be x plus 2. Okay, next. For the trinomial factor, we will get the square of the first term. What is x times x? X squared. Then multiply the two terms. We have x, first term, times the second term, that is 2x. And then get the square of the second term. Getting the square of the second term is 2 times 2, and that is 4. So, for the trinomial factor, it should be x squared. And then the next term should be 2x. The last term should be 4. We have the sum of the binomial, or the sum of the two terms, and the sum of the two cubes. Therefore, we have an alternating signs. So the factors are quantity x plus 2 close quantity times a quantity x squared minus 2x plus 4 close quantity. And that is example 1. Let's move to the second.